Hi, this is Murali again at Salt. Today's session is about critical reading, like some of the strategies that we'll use to like take the knots off the critical reading and make it easier for you guys. One of the, I mean, obviously there are a few factors which make critical reading one of the hardest section to crack, to get a good score from critical reading. But it's not actually I mean, it's definitely overrated. We can overcome that very easily. So the today's topic is basically ignoring the unknown words. See, what makes a critical reading is difficult to comprehend. I mean, the core idea of that section is to make you understand, or to see how you can comprehend the reading, how whatever you're reading, how do you make sense out of that, right? But either deliberately or not, they may. I mean, there will be certain complex unknown words. So obviously, there you will come across certain paragraphs where there will be some words that you've never heard of, and I don't know if they put it like deliberately or intentionally or not, but you will come across certain situations. So what we do is uh, I mean, like, you actually ignore certain words, you ignore those words. The reason being, like, when you come across, I mean, like, you have a paragraph, right? Let's say you're about to read a paragraph, and then like quarter way through, like, you come across this like very abstract word that you never heard of. Your mind immediately goes like, hey, yeah, hold on a minute, I don't understand this. And then, it throws a monkey wrench in the whole thought process, and then it goes to haywire. So what we do is at that point, all we do is like we just ignore that word is there, treat it as blank, and then keep reading. Most of the time, 90% of the time, the that particular word would not, I mean, hinder your ability to comprehend. See, the word does not is not so important that you won't understand the meaning or give a context around the about what the author is trying to say. 90% of the time, I mean, you should be fine. So let's take a quick example. Obviously, the idea here is for you to understand, uh, I mean, how ignoring certain words will still, you can make sense of paragraphs. This is this example here. So you're saying, during the next few days, I observed the characteristics of Coriander's African gorilla with new interest. He performed wonderfully well. It was difficult to realize that the hairy, ravening, agile, and grotesquely moving beast, from which every visitor shrank back aghast, was only jolly Jack Gale, serving out his hard servitude for an anticipated bride, very much after the ancient fashion of Laban's kinsman. The cunning rascal had a fashion of leaving at the bars when curious people came too near, driving them away from a narrow inspection by his macabre yells and angry mouthings. But his roars, which were really artistic in their brutal sonorousness, served as a good purpose. Now, I mean, obviously, there are a few words which you might have never heard of, I never heard of, but they are there. And before, I mean, like, yeah, wait a minute, I don't understand anything. Let's take this approach. So you'll read it as like, during the next few days, I observed the characteristics of African gorilla with new interest. He performed wonderfully well. It was difficult to realize that the hairy, agile, and grotesquely moving beast, from which every visitor shrank back in aghast, was only jolly Jack Gale, serving out his hard for an anticipated bride, very much after the ancient fashion of Unser. The cunning rascal had a fashion of leaping at the bars when curious people came too near, driving them away from a narrow inspection by his blank yells and angry mouthings. But his roars, which were really artistic in their brutal dash blank, served as a good purpose. So, I mean, when you take off those unknown words, it it doesn't look much as bad. I mean, it's not as complex. It's, I mean, you can actually make some sense of that. This is a very, I mean, you take something out of context, and I mean, if you're asked to make sense of this, I mean, it's not easy. So, but here the idea is like to for you to convey that, like, hey, I mean, if you take off the words that you it doesn't if that you don't know, you can still get the meaning of the paragraph. It's not, I mean, like the word is not the final authority. I mean, if you don't understand something, okay, just like, ignore it and then move on. So that's what we're trying to teach you. And then, like, there will be other strategies that we will tell you to make critical reading, like, it'll be like very easy to score, like, to a certain point. You may not get, like, 100% of it, but I mean, like, at least 70-75 percent of it you can easily get with very little preparation. So that's it, guys, and we'll try, like, come back and I mean, try and take a stab at this the whole process again. Here we believe at repetition, so we'll take another stab, but this is a starting point of that. Thanks. We'll catch up later.